Good morning, dear students. We are at home reading lesson. Today's theme, Jimmy Valentine's Reformation by O. Henry. This home reading lesson is prepared by the teacher of special disciplines of the English language, Mireeva Klara Sandirovna, Mangistau Humanitarian College, named after Мұрын жырау Сеңгірбекұлы. Short story is a fully developed story, which is shorter than a novel and longer than a fable. It typically takes just a single sitting for reading. Short story focuses on the incidents bigger and smaller and evokes strong feeling from its readers. A short story has a few characters in the plot. Short story is mostly a short narrative and has few features. The standard features include exposition, complication, crisis, and the resolution of the crisis. However, it is essential that all short stories follow the same pattern. Objectives of this lesson: interact the academic content reading, writing, listening, speaking, demonstrate ability to think critically and problem solve, utilize information and digital literacy skills. O. Henry is a well-known and prominent American writer. His real name, William Sidney Potter. He was born in Greensboro, North Carolina in 1862. Master of surprise endings, where the plot is twisted and the ending turns out differently than expected. Known for writing about ordinary people. On this screen, you see some stories. They are very interesting. In 1906, he published a collection called The 4 Million that included The Gift of the Maggie, The Skylight Room, and The Green Door. One of his last stories, The Ransom of the Red Chief, is perhaps his best-known story. The following is a message to his readers left on a Edison cylinder recording about 1908. In prison, he began writing short stories to support his young daughter. He published 12 stories while in prison. He was released after 3 years for good behavior. Emerged from prison as O. Henry to shield his identity. Moved to New York City in 1902, published over 300 stories and gained worldwide acclaim. And dear students, let's have a vocabulary part. Listen please attentively. To release, освободить из тюрьмы, абақтан босату, to make a man of oneself, стать человеком, адам болу, to break open a safe, взломать сейф, сейфті бұзу, a complete set of tools, полный набор инструментов, құралдар жиынтығы. To resume business, взяться за старое, бұрынғы қалпына қайта түсу. Not to leave the slightest trace, не оставлять ни малейшего следа, ешқандай із қалдырмау. A man of that style and looks, человек с такой внешностью, сол келбеттегі адам. To make large profit, получать большую прибыль, көп табыс табу. To accomplish the wish of one's heart, реализовать, исполнить свое самое сокровенное желание, ертеден армандаған мақсатыңа қол жеткізу. To give up safe Bulgaria forever, перестать заниматься грабежом навсегда, тонаумен айналысуды мүлдем қою. To put a new safe in the bank. Установить новый сейф в банке. Банкке жаңа сейф орнату. To explain the workings of the safe. Объяснить принципы работы сейфа. Сейфтің жұмыс жасау жолын көрсету. And now it's time to watch the video. Jimmy Valentine, Reformation, O. Henry.
In 1898, William Sidney Porter was convicted of embezzlement of bank funds and sentenced to 5 years in the Ohio Penitentiary. But Porter was not a criminal, even though his loans from the bank were in fact a crime. Porter was a dreamer of dreams, a man who worked at many jobs but lived to write. He worked in the prison infirmary as a pharmacist, and it was here that he wrote some of his best short stories. He signed them, O. Henry.
Jimmy. His name was Jimmy Valentine. Jimmy Valentine was in prison where he'd been for almost a year. One day, a guard came into the prison workshop where Jimmy was assiduously stitching uppers.
Valentine! Hey, Valentine!
Yeah?
You're wanted upstairs.
Finished.
Now!
I had my way, Valentine. I never would have pardoned you. I'd have kept the likes of you in here for the full 4-year sentence.
Oh, 10 months was plenty, thank you. I hadn't even planned on cutting my hair.
You'll be back, Valentine. You'll be back.
And now listen, please, very attentively. Pay attention to the pronunciation of the new words and the word combinations from this story. Put in a pause and listen. Try to repeat.
Jimmy Valentine was released that day. Now, Valentine, said the warden, you'll go out today. Make a man of yourself. You are not a bad fellow, really. Stop breaking open safes and be honest. Me, said Jimmy in surprise. Why, I've never broken a safe in my life. The warden laughed. Better think over my advice. Valentine. In the evening, Valentine arrived in his native town, went directly to the cafe of his old friend Mike and shook hands with Mike. Then he took the key of his room and went upstairs. Everything was just as he had left it. Jimmy removed a panel in the wall and dragged out a dust-covered suitcase. He opened it and looked fondly at the finest set of burglar's tools. It was a complete set made of special steel. The set consisted of various tools of the latest design. Over $900 they had cost him. A week after the release of Valentine, there was a new safe burglary in Richmond. 2 weeks after that, another safe was opened. That began to interest the detectives. Ben Price, a famous detective, got interested in these cases. That's all Jimmy Valentine's work. He has resumed business. He has got the only tools that can open any safe without leaving the slightest trace. One afternoon, Jimmy Valentine came to Elmore, a little town in Arkansas. A young lady crossed the street. passed him at the corner and entered a door over which was the sign, the Elmore Bank. Jimmy Valentine looked into her eyes, forgot what he was and became another man. She lowered her eyes and blushed slightly. Young men of Jimmy's style and looks were not often met in Elmore. Jimmy called a boy who was standing on the steps of the bank and began to ask him questions about the town and the people of the town. From this boy he learned that this girl was Annabelle Adams and that her father was the owner of the bank. Jimmy went to a hotel and registered as Ralph Spencer. To the clerk he said that he had come to Elmore to start business. The clerk was impressed by the clothes and manner of Jimmy and he was ready to give Jimmy any information. Soon Jimmy opened a shoe store and made large profits. In all other respects he was also a success. He was popular with many important people and had many friends. And he accomplished the wish of his heart. He met Miss Annabelle Adams and she fell in love with him too. Annabelle's father, who was a typical country banker, approved of Spencer. The young people were to be married in 2 weeks. Jimmy gave up safe burglary forever. He was an honest man now. He decided to get rid of his tools. At that time a new safe was put in Mr. Adams' bank. The old man was very proud of it and insisted that everyone should inspect it. So one day the whole family with the children went to the bank. Mr. Adams enthusiastically explained the workings of the safe to Spencer. The 2 children were delighted to see the shining metal and the funny clock. While they were thus engaged, Ben Price, the detective, walked into the bank and stood at the counter watching the scene. He told the cashier that he was just waiting for the man he knew. Suddenly there was a loud scream from the women. Unseen by the elders, May, the smallest girl, had shut herself in the vault. "It's impossible to open the door now," said Mr. Adams in a trembling voice, "because the clock of the safe hasn't been wound." "Oh, what shall we do? That child, she can't stand it for long because there isn't enough air there." "Get away from the door, all of you," suddenly commanded Spencer. And it must be mentioned that Jimmy happened to have his suitcase with him because he was going to get rid of it that day. Very calmly he took out the tools and in 10 minutes the vault was opened. The others watched him in amazement. The little girl, crying, rushed to her mother. Jimmy took his suitcase and came up to Ben Price, whom he had noticed long before. "Hello, Ben," he said, "let's go. I don't think it matters much now." And then suddenly Ben Price acted rather strangely. "I guess you are mistaken, Mr. Spencer," he said. "I don't seem to recognize you. I think your fiancée is waiting for you, isn't she?" And Ben Price turned and walked out of the bank.
I hope that you understand the meaning of this short story. Let's answer to the questions. What kind of man was Jimmy Valentine? You may write about his age, looks, and occupation. Where did he go immediately after the release? What was the first thing he did on entering his room? There were a number of safe burglaries in Richmond. Why did Ben Price get interested in them? Why did he suspect Jimmy? How did Jimmy happen to meet Annabelle Adams? What did he manage to find out about her? Why did Jimmy register at the hotel under another name? Explain the phrase, please. In all respects, Jimmy was a success. What final decision did Jimmy make that proved that he wanted to give up his old business forever. How did the child happen to find himself in the world? Why was it dangerous? Why did all the present watch Jimmy in amazement while he was opening the safe? Please think all of these questions and try to give a right answer. And now, students, let's do true or false task. He had never broken a safe in his life. Jimmy had continued his business in his native town. 2 weeks later, after another safe was opened. Soon Jimmy opened a shoe store and made large profits. Mr. Adams enthusiastically explained the workings of the safe to the detective. Very calmly, he took out the tools, and in 10 minutes, the vault was opened. Define true or false. The next task is give Russian and Kazakh equivalents for the following words and the expressions from the text and use them in the sentence of your own. Be honest. Say something in surprise. Shake hands with somebody. A set of tools. Get interested in something. Become another man. Register at a hotel. Be impressed by something. Be a success. Fall in love with somebody. Approve of somebody. Something. Give up something forever. Be proud of something. Insist on somebody. Should do something. Say something in a trembling voice. Stand something for long. It must be mentioned. Watch somebody something in amazement. Be mistaken. Recognize somebody. And it's time for explaining your homework. Discuss the following and write your opinion. By the time the incident happened, Jimmy had completely changed his way of life. What did he risk when he showed everybody his skill? What could the price of this action have been? Analyze Ben Price's behavior through the course of events. Why do you think he said he did not recognize Valentine? In what way does it characterize him? Think of another end of the story, supposing Jimmy didn't meet the girl. Ben Price revealed everything to the people present in the bank. Good luck for you, students. Dear students, thank you for your work. The lesson is over. Goodbye. Stay home. Stay safe. Keep a distance. Wash your hands and wear masks.